Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer from English with Jennifer. Back in 2013, I shared a lesson on the U.S. system of education. If you haven't seen it or if you forgot how the system works, take some time to watch. Why? First, the older lesson will help you understand who goes where and when, from preschool all the way through grad school. Second, it's interesting to compare educational systems. The one you went through may be different. Third, if you're talking to Americans and you hear references to middle school or college, you'll understand what people mean. Let me give you a super quick overview of the U.S. system of education. Preschool is for kids around the age of 3 or 4. We go to kindergarten at the age of 5. First through 12th grade breaks down into elementary school, middle school, and high school. High school, that's the last 4 years. We call those the freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year. Those names repeat again in college. Americans go to college for 4 years. Freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. After college, you have the option to go to grad school and get a master's or a PhD. Of course, there are also options for medical school and law school. But there's something I didn't cover in that earlier lesson. I didn't explain all the choices that Americans have in terms of schooling. So in this video, I'd like to tell you about the types of schools in the U.S., at least those that I'm familiar with. Then you can have a turn and tell me in the comments what kinds of schools exist in your home country. Where did you study? In the U.S., education is free from kindergarten through high school. So from about the age of 5 to 18, you can attend school and finish with a high school diploma. Preschool is sometimes free, but I don't think that every U.S. state has a universal preschool program for its residents. Let me clarify. Education is free if you attend a public school. Public schools receive public funds. Local, state, and federal money can support public schools. Our tax dollars partly go to education. When we talk about public schools, we're referring to elementary and secondary schools. There are a few different types of public schools. I'll tell you about 4 that I know of. First, there are regular public schools. These schools must meet state standards, so there's state control over the curriculum, and teachers must have a license to teach in that state. So there are standards, but there isn't really one national curriculum that all public schools use. Second, there are charter schools. These are public schools, but they have more freedom in how they're run. When my kids were little, we had a charter school in our town, and it was known to be the best elementary school where we lived. But space was limited. My son won a lottery to get in. Then because he attended the charter school, my daughter was allowed to enroll. I liked the teachers and the curriculum at that charter school. I also liked the parent involvement. I was one of several parents who helped with subjects like reading. This allowed students to read in small groups at their skill level. It seemed that all of us volunteers had some experience in education, but I never had to show my qualifications. A friend of mine sends her son to a vocational high school. It's also a public school, but he had to apply to get in. Students can learn a technical skill, so that when they graduate, they can immediately enter the workforce. I've also heard of magnet schools, but they're a little less common. These are public schools, but they specialize in a certain area, like science or the performing arts. Obviously, if it's a school of the performing arts, there's going to be an audition process to get in. Let's talk about education after high school. Is college in the U.S. free? No, but we have state colleges or state schools. and state governments help make higher education affordable. My son has yet to choose which college he's going to, but a state school is a very promising option because of the low tuition. Remember that in the U.S., college refers to post-secondary education. It refers to four-year colleges and universities. If you go to a state school and you're an in-state resident, you pay a lower tuition. If you go to a state school and you're an out-of-state resident, you pay a higher tuition. What's the alternative to public education in general? Private schools. Private schools don't use government funds. They use private funds and they charge tuition. What kinds are there? A few, and they range in price. Private schools require that students pay tuition. If you hear the name of a school and it has academy in it, you can pretty much guess that it's a private school. The most expensive private schools are boarding schools, where students live on campus. A private boarding school can cost around $70,000 a year. If you don't live on campus, you're called a day student, and you may pay around $50,000 a year, which is still more than most state college tuitions. And remember, we're talking about secondary school, not college yet. These boarding schools are small, competitive, and known for academic excellence. They can also have very competitive sports programs. On the other side of the spectrum are parochial schools. This is a type of private school run by a religious group, like a church. If you hear a name of a school and it has saint in it, for example, you can bet that it's probably run by a local Catholic church. Parochial schools are generally affordable, and they suit families who want religious instruction as part of the daily curriculum. In general, we can talk about religious schools or schools with a religious affiliation. There are a good number of private Christian schools in the U.S., but there are also Jewish schools, for example. By the way, usually the only schools that have a school uniform are religious schools. Other schools may have a dress code, but the strictness can vary. Some kids in the U.S. don't attend public or private school. Do you know where they study? At home. Homeschooling in the U.S. seems to be on the rise. When I was a kid, homeschoolers numbered in the thousands. Today, there are a few million of them. You can probably guess a few reasons for this trend. Safety. Some families consider home a safer environment. Control over instruction. Some families object to the public school curriculum or the quality of instruction. Religious preferences. Some families want their children to have a strong religious foundation, so they choose to homeschool their children. Yet another option is online school. I personally don't know anyone who's doing this, but there is an option for tuition-free online public school. I believe some families can combine homeschooling with online school, but again, I personally don't know anyone who's doing this. So what do you think? Are you a parent or a future parent? Where would you want to send your kids? Perhaps you're in high school. Are you happy with where you study? Tell me in the comments. Let's see how much you understood and how much you can remember. We'll finish with a short quiz. 1. What kind of high school is the most expensive? A boarding school. 2. Which schools usually have a uniform? Religious schools, like a Catholic or a Christian school. 3. What kind of college is the most affordable in the U.S.? State schools. 4. Which school offers teachers more freedom, a regular public school or a charter school? A charter school. 5. What school should a student attend if he or she wants to learn a technical skill by the time they graduate from high school? A vocational school. 6. Where is a student most likely able to specialize in the performing arts? A magnet school or parochial school? A magnet school. 7. What do we call it when parents choose to teach their children at home? Homeschooling. 8. Which schools use government funds and tax dollars? Any public school. Feel free to share your thoughts and your own school experience in the comments. I'd be curious to know what options exist in your country. That's all for now. Please remember to like and share the video. If you haven't subscribed, please do. As always, thanks for watching and happy studies. A new Patreon tier for advanced learners is coming in April 2023. Visit my page on Patreon at English with Jennifer. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube. Turn on those notifications.